If you've ever watched the Lord of the Rings movies, or perhaps played a fantasy video game, or read a fantasy book, you may have felt a longing to be part of that world. For some, that longing is destined to become a reality. They call themselves Last Hope, an expansive network of friends that partakes in a hobby known as LARPing.
It started off, I watched the movie Role Models, and after that I kind of said it looked kind of cool. I was either going to go into kind of martial arts or sword fighting, and then my sister said that she graduated with a guy who now has a LARP, so then she told me about Last Hope, and so I met Ryan, met Last Hope, and been with him ever since.
LARP is an acronym, which stands for Live Action Role Playing. You may have heard the term RPG, or role-playing game, before. Typically, these kinds of games are played on a tabletop, such as with Dungeons & Dragons, or on a computer or video game console, like Final Fantasy or World of Warcraft. LARPing brings the role-playing experience out into the real world, and has players acting out scenarios in real time, from the perspective of whatever character they are playing as.
It is a complete experience. It's probably the best way to describe it. It's, depending on which group you go to, it's physical, it's mental, it's emotional. It's some of the best exercise you'll ever get. You'll meet a lot of great people.
It does require a certain level of physical fitness, as players are often wearing up to 50 pounds of gear during a session. That's right, that's real chainmail armor and real metal helmets you're seeing the players wearing. But there's more to it than just fighting. Players act out continuing storylines, developing new relationships with all of the characters as the story progresses. Nothing is scripted, it is completely ad-libbed and off the cuff, which lends to the immersion that players report feeling during a session.
Ours is kind of a mashup of everything. It has improv theater, so there's a lot of theatrical acting. We have the real combat with the swords, where if you don't have the skills, I highly encourage you practice, so it's very real skill-based, so it gives you the sense of accomplishment. If you don't like combat, you can definitely do, we have a whole economy. My older sister started off selling fruit and cupcakes and whatnot, so with our specific LARP, essentially it's a community that we have that can pretty much offer anything for what you're looking for.
One of my characters, my first character that I ever made, I died. And I died in game. I went down in blaze of glory and got killed at an event. And it was one of the coolest things I've ever been through, because I got to experience death through a character. And you can't really say you can do that in regular life. And so that emotional or psychological aspect is something where you can explore different personas, explore different versions of you, but in a new light.
And while there may be a certain amount of stigma surrounding LARPing, players of Last Hope say that you should try it before you judge it.
It's a simpler time. You kind of put your cell phones away. You get to I spent one event actually planting a garden. It didn't go so well, but it was a fun time, because then you get to connect two people face to face. You do get the sense of community that we have, because we're running around in the woods playing pretend. It's a good community.
Give it a try, go in with an open mind, and explore the angles you want to try. Explore the angles that are interesting to you, and then you can always expand from there.
Come out and LARP.
Ah!